Welcome to Sports Music and Other Ish. I'm your co-host Vic.
I'm your co-host, Big John, aka Black Jerry McGuire. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have Charles Austin, nine-time track and field high jump champion, three-time Olympian, two-time world champion, World Cup, holds the American and the Olympic high jump champion. In 2012, he was inducted into the United States Track and Field Hall of Fame. Charles is also the inventor of the total body board and owner of So High Sports and Fitness in San Marcos, Texas. Charles, how you doing today, man?
Hey, good, fellas. Everything's good. How are you guys doing? Hopefully the family's safe with all this craziness going on.
But yeah, everything's good, man.
Everything's good.
Thanks for joining us today. So what we want to talk about first, we want to talk about just you, like where are you from? Where are you originally from? What was your upbringing? And we start right there.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm from a little small country town called Van Vleck, Texas, which is south of Houston. Country boy, and I'm the youngest of 10. Grew up in a single parent household. Great country life. Very close knit community, close knit family. Started high jumping my senior year of high school, and received a track and field scholarship to come to Texas State, which is now, at first it was Southwest Texas, but now it's Texas State. And, had a great college career, won NCAA championships, finished with my business management degree. Then after that, turned professional, competed for 15 years, coaching and training myself. And like he said, had a great track and field career.
So Charles, when you talk about training yourself, what do you mean by training yourself? Because I mean, the person I've known that ran track at a high level or played sports, period, they all had someone train them. So you trained yourself.
I trained myself, man. I wrote all my workouts up. Taught myself how to high jump, watching videos, studying the great jumpers who were beating me at the time. And, when I would go to meets and stuff like that, I would just watch and ask questions. And that's how I would learn and, see them doing things, and I'll bring it back and apply it to my training. But yeah, I wrote all my workouts up, go out to that track by myself and just get it done. Every now and then, if I needed a set of eyes on me, I would have someone come out and film and watch. But, since I turned pro, I did all my training on my own.
Did you just, I know people tried to come and coach you, so did you just decline them and because you felt comfortable with how you was doing it?
Yeah, it was working. And in my last year in college, what was so great about Coach Clayton, he gave me leeway to do my own thing. He would write the workouts and give it to me and like, hey, you can follow this or you can improvise, do whatever you want. At that point, I was dialed in, and I'm a very self-motivated person. Once I set my sights on something, I just grind and figure it out. And I had great success that year, jumped 7.8 won NCs. And so once I turned pro, I got Coach Light, who was my original coach. He gave me a workout, that fall up until February of 1991. And then after that, I just took it and ran with it. I didn't feel I needed anyone. Watching, there lots of video out there. All I had to do was study and see what they were doing. And so just like a coach would do, I could do the same thing, And like I say, as far as someone motivating me and telling me, hey, be here at this time and you got to push yourself and all of that, I didn't need that. Like I say, I knew what I wanted to accomplish. And so I got out there and just did it.
What do you contribute a certain factor in your life or upbringing to that motivation? Something that kept you locked in and focused on becoming the best?
Well, brother, look at it like this here. When I started off high jumping and taking it serious, Hollis Conway, he's one of the guys that used to beat me all the time. And he was competing professionally, earning money and stuff like that. And I was like, interesting. And I'm a very competitive person, period. I like to compete. So, me having an outlet to compete, to utilize those competitive juices. And then after Hollis told me, man, they pay you. You can get paid for this. And so it's like, wow, they'll pay me to jump over a stick? Cool, let's get it. Let's get it, no problem, So it gave me an outlet to compete. And then just understanding the game, just like it with everything else. You get that name recognition. It can open doors for you later on. So it was in my head, it was like, okay, I jump over this stick, I win some championships, set some records, and especially if I get that little gold medal thing, hey, people go crazy over that. So it was a no-brainer to me. I didn't think twice about it. So that's all it was, man. It's just that simple.
So you said earlier you didn't start doing track until your senior year of high school.
Yep.
So did seeing these other guys drove you to doing track, or was it something else that put you in track?
No, man, it was my senior year. I thought we would do really well in basketball. We had a great team. I thought I would get a basketball scholarship, but things didn't work out. So a couple of my friends who also ran track, one especially Robert Blackman, he played with the Seattle Seahawks and Indianapolis Colts. He was like, hey, Snake, man, come out and just hang out with us. We're getting ready to graduate. And we're going to go our separate ways. Just come and hang out on the track team with us. So I went out there and asked the coach if I could be on the track team. At first, he told me no. Straight up said no. It's like, all right, cool. I'm going. I started walking, out the gate, and the guys ran up like, hey, hold on, man. Robert was like, hey, let me go and talk to Coach McKinney at the time. So he went in. And Coach McKinney told him if I could jump 6 feet, he would let me on the team. So we went out to the high jump mat, put the bar at 6 feet. I jumped over with my jeans and basketball shoes on. He let me on the track team. He put me on the track team.
Man, that's crazy, man. So basically, you was like, man, I didn't get no basketball scholarship. Shit, I'm going to go get one in track real quick. So,
no, I wouldn't. I didn't know where it was going to go. The funny thing, man, is during that basketball season, I could dunk with one hand, comfortable.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any major hops or anything like that. But once I started track, and this is just how crazy it was. I didn't even, when they were working out, I'd go and sit on the high jump mat and look at them running around the track. But, a blessing from God. First meet, I jumped like 6'4". Second meet, 6'6". Next meet, 6'8". Then I jumped 6'11". So once track season was over with, I went back in the gym, and it was just stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know where. Hey, like I say, just a great blessing from God, man. And received a scholarship, received 2 scholarship offers. One from McNeese State.
Uh-huh.
They came down, picked me up. And this is what's so funny about this whole thing. Went to McNeese State, was sitting in the coach's office, track coach's office, and we were talking. He was like, oh, we really want you to come here, blah, blah, blah. And towards the end of the meeting, he was like, hey, the basketball coach wants to talk to you. I'm like, what? Okay, interesting. So once the meeting with the track coach ended, one of the assistant basketball coaches came in and took me down to the basketball coach office. And he was like, hey, Charles, I don't know, I can't remember his name, but He was like, we heard that you had a nice little game and we want to look at you and we'll go from there. And we're bringing a former player in and we're going to go down to the gym and just watch you guys on the court. And so at that time, the way his desk was situated, it was a big window behind him, right? And I see this green Jaguar drive up, nice green Jaguar. And I'm looking at the car and listening to the coach. Next thing you know, this young black guy gets out the car. I'm like, okay, this is how they do it here, huh?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at him. He in his sweatsuit and everything, clean. And the coach is like, yeah, he should be here any minute, blah, 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 talking to me. And next thing you know, the black guy walks in his office. It was Joe Dumars.
I knew you were going to say that.
It was with the Pistons. It was Joe Dumars. And I'm like, whoa. And he was like, Charles, this is who we're going to have you go and shoot around with on the court. And he's like, you know him, huh? I was like, yeah, I know him. So we all got up, walked down to the gym, and the coaches sit up in the stands where they were playing. They sit up in the stand. Me and Joe got on the court, started doing some drills, shooting. And after a little time, Joe walked over to the coaches and left me out there. And I'm just goofing off, shooting the ball. And coach came over. He was like, hey, we want to offer you a full scholarship right now. Play basketball. You can high jump, after the season if you want, but we want you to play basketball for it.
Yeah.
And I told him, it freaked me out, and I was like, well, let me get home and think about this, because I had one other visit to come to Texas State, Southwest Texas.
Right.
Like, if you don't mind, sir, can I get home and think about it and get back with you? And so that next week, I had my visit to Southwest Texas. And, McNeese, when I went there, it was rainy. It was sawmills everywhere. And I was like, man, where the hell is this? And so and it was, about 6 hours away from home. So I wasn't familiar. So when I came to visit Southwest, it was only 2 hours from my hometown. And when I got here, driving down Ocarina, seeing the campus, seeing old man, I was like, shit, this is nice.
That's how they get you, man.
That's how I ended up here. And he flew me. The funny part, that was the first time my visit here was the first time ever on an airplane. He flew me in from Houston to Austin.
Yeah.
Picked me up in Austin and drove down here. And the crazy thing about it, I had a full scholarship offer for McNeese, and I accepted $450 a semester in books to come here.
Oh, shit.
Hey, look like it paid off, though.
Hey, I thought that was good, man. That's just to show you how country I was. I was country shit. But, yeah, I'm thinking $450 in books was really good until I got here. And on the track team, we all together, and the guys are like, man, what's your scholarship? I get a check for $1,500 every month. This guy, I get mine for $1,700. And I'm looking like, shit, I got to get Pell Grants and loans and stuff to pay for my school.
Yeah.
Like, really? I'm like, yeah, man, I have to pay. And they killed me. They like, oh, he got you. He got you killed. And so that's how I ended up here, man. But it was cool,
Yeah, that when you first get into San Marcos, that drive down Ocarina Springs will make you want to stay.
Yeah,
it's just a nice look. Like everything is good. It's nice, So
right. The sun was shining on the building, real nice. It was pretty. So
yeah, people out there probably throwing frisbees in the yard.
Hey, yeah, we drove by the river. Everybody out at the river. I was like, oh,
yeah, I already know. I already know. So you get to San Marcos, and at this point, you say you was jumping 6'11" when you left high school.
Right.
So when you got to San Marcos, how much more attention to detail did you? Because I know you're a very detailed person. How much more attention to detail did you have to have in order to get to the 7 to the 7 feet marks. You know what I mean? Because you when you was from just jumping 6'6" and going up and up, you went up quick.
Yeah.
And in your senior year.
Well, the funny thing, man, the first 2 years, once I got here and like I was telling you, those guys start telling me about my scholarship. You know, I got a little attitude and I wasn't working and into it like I should have been. So the first year, I didn't improve very much. I went up to 7 feet a half inch because I would skip going to practice and going hoop with the basketball team.
Right.
You know, the basketball team was trying to get me to play basketball. And so that was the first year. The next year, he increased my scholarship to $750 a semester. I'm like, man, you out of your mind. So I wouldn't show up for practice. I'll just go to the meets and jump. Ended up jumping 7'1"3/4. Yeah, that next year, you know. And so after the school year, he called me for our little sit down closeout meeting. And he was like, hey, Charles, look here. I know you're really mad about your scholarship and all of that, but I'm just going to tell you this here. Either you come in and do what you're supposed to do, or you can go back to Van Vliet. Regardless, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be the coach here if you're here or not. I'm going to get my check. So I can set it up where you come in, go to summer school, handle your business, and get in here and you know, handle your business and you know, try, give your all to become better. And after that, you know, that's when it clicked in because I didn't want to go back to Van Vleck. I didn't want to go back home.
Right.
So that summer, I started lifting weights for the first time. This after my sophomore year. I started lifting weights. I started watching video, trying to get better, trying to understand the high jump. And I just dialed in. I just, like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to just give my all and see what happens. So that my junior year, I went up to 7'5"1/4. I'd pretty much jump 7'5" every meet.
Yeah.
Ended up getting second at the NCAA championships. I was like, whoa, check that out. And that same level of competition I would feel when I played basketball, I started to get it in track, you know, and what made it even so great, it was just me and that individual. I didn't have to rely on someone else. So I was like, man, I like this.
Right. So
after my junior year, after getting second at the NCs, I dial in even more. It's like, I can do this. My senior year jumped 7'8" 1/2 and won NCs. And that 7'8" 1/2 was at the time the second highest jump by a collegiate athlete. And to compete, the standard where they consider you can compete, you have the potential to compete on the world stage was 7'6" 1/2. I jumped 7'6" 1/2 in my sleep.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, okay. And during the time, like I said, Hollis and a couple other guys were telling me how they were making money. They were flying over to Europe. They were getting gear from Nike and all these different companies and all of that. Like, well, hey, I can get that.
Right.
And so after my senior year, that next year, 1991, is when I turned pro and started competing professionally. And that year, I set the current American record of 7'10" 1/2 and won my first world championship title, my first year competing professionally.
Nice.
So it just kept rolling from there.
So right at this point, you kind of on the radar for competing on the world stage. How does it work in track and field? You did all your own, what do you call it? Endorsements, finding your own endorsements. How did that work for you?
Well, I have an agent in track and field. We have an agent.
Okay.
Track and field is a hard sport, man. It's tough. It's not like these other sports out there. Everything is based on performance. It's not on potential.
Right.
You don't perform, you don't come to the meets. Just that simple. You don't get paid.
Yeah.
And so I had an agent, and he set up all my meets over in Europe. And, there's tiers. Like in track and field, the 100, 200, the sprints are the top events that those athletes make the most money.
Right.
After the sprinters, it's the distance runners.
Yeah.
And then everybody else fit in where you can get in.
Yeah.
For instance, let's say Carl Lewis, Usain Bolt, they can command upwards of $100, $200, $300,000 for a 9-second race.
Damn.
Yeah. A high jumper, I think me and Soto probably were the top highest paid. If we got 20 to 25, we were killing.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. No, I see it's a discrepancy there.
Yeah, but it is what I didn't care. I was jumping over a stick and they were flying me around the world, paying me for it. Hey, what else I'm gonna do? Go get a 9 to 5?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I took that and ran.
Yeah.
Hey Charles, can you take us back to that moment when you knew you were going to the Olympics? Like when you made that jump, you qualified, and you knew I'm going to the Olympics.
Well, let me back up. Back in 1991, when I won the World Championships, in 1990, I initially tore my patellar tendon. But I could still compete. So 1991, it was a struggle for me to get through the season. Early in the season, after the U.S. Championships, I only took 2 jumps to make the U.S. Championship team for that World Championship. And I came home because my knee was hurting. I couldn't compete. And so I stayed home and did rehab and, did as much as I could. And I guess about a month before the World Championships, I started competing again. I went to New York, my first meet, no-hided, couldn't even clear meet, couldn't even clear bar. Left New York that night after the competition. No, that morning after the competition, flew to England for the World University Games. I jumped 7.4 and a quarter. Now I'm pissed. I'm like, man, what the hell? So after that meet, my next meet was Zurich, Switzerland. And before the meet, I went to this little training camp up in the mountains just to get away, clear my head. And plus I couldn't go. The competition was a week away. So my agent set it up where I could just go somewhere, post up, train, and get ready. Because during that time, the biggest meets in the world was Olympics, World Championships, and then Zurich.
Mm-hmm.
The year before, I went to Zurich, they wouldn't even let me compete. They put me in the stands. They wouldn't even let me compete in the meet.
Damn.
So this year, they let me compete. So he was like, just go there, hang out, get your head right, and they'll bring you in 2 days before the meet. And you just, go there and use this meet to get you ready for the World Championships. Go to Zurich, I'm hanging out. Now I'm pissed. I'm pissed now because it's like, yeah, last year y'all wouldn't let me in here. And I could tell my body was starting to come around now. I was starting to feel better, but it was the mental process I was able to go through during that training camp. I knew what I could do. I knew what my body could do if I just let it do it and believe.
Right.
Believed in myself and believed that I was okay. So I go to Zurich, I jumped 7.10 and a half. meet record. Jumped a meet record. So this was 2 weeks, about 3 weeks before the World Championships. So I'm on now.
Yeah.
Mentally, man, I could probably pick up a car at that time. I'm so geeked. So I go to the World Championships. I'm laughing. I'm having a good time. Didn't even take it serious because I knew, man, if these guys come in here and perform, I'll break this world record because I was close to getting it at Zurich.
Yeah.
So it was like, I just needed somebody to push me a little bit more. I'm going to break this record.
Yeah.
And after winning the World Championships, that's when I knew. I was like, man, I can not only win at this level, but I can dominate. If my body holds up, I'll make the Olympic team. I'll win that. I'll dominate this track and field high jump thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, very few people don't understand that you can win, but to dominate something takes a whole different type of mindset.
Yeah.
Anybody can go out there and luck up and win, but when you have total domination, that's a total different mindset.
Hey man, I was a little strange. It wasn't just about winning for me at all. You know what I like, and this is the honest truth. I like to look at those guys when they're defeated. Look in their eyes, and they're sad. They're like they're just defeated. That shit was so it would make me laugh because it was like, I'm gonna put in your head, every time you see me, you're gonna know the chances of you beating me slim to none.
Right.
I'm gonna see that look in your eye every time I come to a meeting, and I got off on that. I loved it. It was the funniest thing just to see these guys the guys that I competed against at that level, they grew up doing this. This is what they wanted to do.
Right.
These guys had their whole countries behind them, their whole organizations, sponsors, all of that. I didn't have sponsors. I didn't have any of that. So it just made it even more. I'm like, well, y'all got all of that. I'm gonna still beat y'all. I'm gonna kill you. So that's what it was about for me. I didn't winning. It was, I wanted to make a statement. And like I say, not only for people to see, but in their head. I wanted a lasting statement in their head.
What kind of trash talking y'all was doing at the high jump pit?
I didn't talk. Some of the guys talked, but me personally, I was like, man, I'm not gonna give another person any more motivation.
See, I always wondered what in that situation, is it like, basketball, as soon as you get on the court, you like, oh yeah, you about to get these buckets. I don't give you 30. Your boy can get 30. You know what I mean? Like that type of trash talk. I don't know.
A lot of the guys did it. A lot of the guys did that, trash. But I had one guy, probably two guys to ever do that. Come up to me and say something. Yeah. And it was like, just because you're talking, you will never beat me. You will never beat me. I will not let you beat me. I don't care how I feel, but every time I see you, the chances of you beating me is probably, I will be surprised. And if you do, the next time I see you, I'm really gonna, make sure my height between you and I, the distance between you and I, is very obvious that you just had a good day. Yeah. So, but me personally, I just let my jumping do the talking. And plus, it was one or two guys that I had my sights on, that I knew. Javier Sotomayor, who's the world record holder, and then Hollis. I knew those guys at any given moment could do something real special.
Right.
And we never talked. Those guys at the highest, Javier, Hollis, we never talked trash. We would jump, even if we jump a height, as long as somebody else was in, we go sit our ass down because we're not getting up there beating our chest because we know, okay, this guy here, he a little extra motivation, he can put something together. So I would just go and sit down and cross my legs and just watch, you know, and just let them know that, hey, I'm still dialed in. Long as this competition is on, I'm dialed in. You know, I'm not celebrating until it's over. And even then, I'm not going to celebrate too much because I'll see you at the Olympics, World Championships. I'd rather let you see, you know, get it in your head watching me jump. This guy I can't push this guy. Charles is ready.
So
was those the only two guys you had worried about throughout your career after the World Championships and then going to the Olympics? Was those the only two guys that was on your radar that you had to actually worry about beating you?
Well, I never worried about them beating me. What it was, Hollis was the American record holder, and he was the top American at the time. And I wanted that.
Right.
It's like, I'm gonna take that from you. I need that.
So you saw him more as a benchmark.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, Javier. He was the top guy, world record holder, world champion, all of that. He was the main high jumper on the world stage. And it was like, I need you. Once I got Hollis, I set my sights on Javier. You know, I knew all the other guys, but I knew physically, I got y'all, no doubt. So I just wanted everything they had. I knew I could, I, as far as in my heart, I felt I was more talented, especially from an athletic standpoint, you know. And I just like, I'm going to take everything you have. I'm going to take, I want everything you have. I give you a story and show you my mindset. When I was younger, you know, my oldest brother, who's right at 18 years older, you know, it's 2 of us out of the 10 that went on to college to graduate from college. And he went off and he came home one day. He had this nice little BMW and he used to model and he dressed really well, nice clothing, suits, and always looked sharp when he come home. And so this one day, I knew he was coming home, and every time I would get excited when he would come home, you know, and he pulls up in his new little BMW. And I met him out in the front yard, and he told me, I'm about 10 years old, 11 years old. And he tells me, I'm looking at him, looking at the car, looking at him, because I was always just admire how he took care of himself and how he carried himself. And he got out the car smiling. He's like, you like this, don't you? I was like, yeah. He's like, well, you know, if you handle your business, you know, and take care of business, you can have this one day and live a pretty good life as well. And for whatever reason, I took it as a challenge. And I told him right then and there, it's like, by the time I'm 23, I'm gonna have that and more. I'm gonna have everything you have and more. By 23, I did. So that's how I looked at Hollis and Javier. I just, you know, they never talk noise, but everybody else giving them their props and bigging them up, it kind of like, okay, I'm gonna just take it. I'm gonna just take what y'all have. And that's how my whole, I didn't, you know, I respected the other jumpers, but those were the 2. Hollis was the best jumper here in the U.S. Javier was the best jumper, you know, on the world stage.
Right.
And those are, why go after 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? I want 1.
Absolutely.
So you faced Javier at the Olympics?
Yeah, In 92 was my first Olympics, and I finished 8th with a jump of 7.5 1/4. You know, like I say, the previous year I won the world championships. I set the current American record with 7.10 1/2. Won the world championships with 7.9 3/4. And then 92, the knee kept giving me problems. not, and this is true, I'm not making excuses. I can only, I wasn't even going to go to the Olympics. And at the last minute, the day before, I decided to go ahead and jump at the Olympic trials, took 3 jumps there, made the team, and went home and sat. I didn't jump very much I couldn't jump.
Mhm.
Went to the Olympics, jumped 7.5 3/4, finished 8th, and Javier won with 7.8. And that just pissed me off because I knew. That's like, man, if I could have just had my head together and blocked that out, I could have jumped 7.8. So 93 came back around. I tried to jump, and the knee was just giving me problem, and I ended up having surgery July 7th of 1993, where they removed half of my patella tendon. And and they told me, they was like, Charles, there's no way in the world you'll jump 7 feet again. It's like, you don't have enough tendon there to support that kind of force, and you damaged it so bad that it's no way. And so after having surgery, Dr. DeLee in San Antonio did my surgery, and he told me what was going on. He was like, Charles, there's nothing on record with anyone coming back from this sort of injury. And he's like, honestly, you are putting a tremendous amount of force on that tendon, and now with half of it's gone, he's like, I can't promise you that you're gonna jump again. Man, I was like, at first I was devastated. He's laying on the bed, he told me that, after surgery. And I was like, okay, doc, tell me the one thing that I need to do to give myself a chance. He's like, well, first you need to get your heel to your butt to, keep that range of motion, that flexibility in the tendon. And so within 2 weeks, I could put my heel to my butt, no problem. So I did all of my rehab here in my house on my own. Got me some resistance bands, would put them under my couch, put my couch on them to hold them down or step on them. And I would just do little things, being creative. That next year, that was 93. By December, that was July of 93. By December of 93, I jumped 6'10" from 5 steps. And that was like, oh shit, I'm good. And
how many steps do you normally get?
10.
You get 10, okay.
Yeah.
Wow,
And so I started competing that year, 94. I ended up jumping 7.7 1/4, which was the 11th highest jump in the world. And the knee was still giving me a little problem, but like whatever. Either I'm gonna jump or I'm gonna tear this thing completely up where I can't jump.
Yeah.
95 came, I jumped 7.8, which was the 5th highest jump in the world. And at that point, 96, I was like, look here, I'm good. I can't be worrying about this. I'm gonna get out there, and like I say, 1 or 2 things gonna happen. I'm gonna win the Olympics next year in 96 because it was here in the US. I'm not just gonna make the team, I'm gonna win the shit.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna tear my knee up to where I will be limping for the rest of my life. Because I was pissed. I never fully recovered from what happened in 92 that weighed on me. That just weighed heavy on me. And then those years afterwards, having to deal with all of that. And also during the time, I'm broke now. I have no income coming in. I'm broke. I'm pissed. And so going into 96, my body was feeling good. My mind was right. And by that February, I knew. I was like, I'm good. I just need to pay attention and not, get out of place. I need to stay within my means, stay focused, and let it ride. Your body is good. At that time, 172, 73 pounds, probably 3'4", 3'6" body fat, just ready. I could tell, it was sick. And what stuff that I was doing in practice the running, jumping. It's like, man, I'm locked in. And so I went, after making the team, I went in, I told my agent, it was funny because I didn't have sponsors at that time. Mm-hmm. And Mizuno, which is a Japanese shoe company, mainly baseball and all of that.
Right.
They were like, okay, we'll give you a contract just for the Olympics. And I specifically told my agent, I was like, in the contract, I want two things. I want a huge bonus for the Olympic record, and I want another even bigger bonus for the world record. I was like, that's all I want you to give me. Because they didn't give me any money straight up. They just gave me money if I would win. And I tried to get him to do that. And he was just looking at me. He's like, really? I was like, make sure you get those two things for me. Because I knew, I was dialed in. And I wasn't just going there to win. I was like, I'm in. I'm just get that. Because I got to get me some money because I'm broke as shit.
Right.
And second of all, those guys beat me in '92. It's my time now. Yeah. It's my time. And then the last thing, opportunity to win at the highest level here at home.
Right.
I got to get that. I can't let somebody else come in, especially knowing all my boys are looking. So they would have killed me. Like, man, you choked. So I was looking today.
So you win the Olympics, you come off the injury. How does things change for you, man? As far as, your phone's ringing a lot more after that, with opportunities and
it changed a little bit, man. But I could command more of an appearance fee. Nobody turned me down from getting in the meets.
Yeah.
Something simple that I really enjoyed. And before, most of the time when you're up and coming and go to meets, you would have to share a room with someone. They would put you in coach class and where everybody is jammed back. And during that time, they can smoke on those flights and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
So after winning the Olympics and all that, one of my big goals, like, man, when I go to meets, I want to be in business of first class. I don't want to share a room with anyone else. So that was a big motivation for me right there, And so that's one thing that I really, really enjoyed. But plus you get an opportunity to meet other people, lots of others, you name them. Hung out with Michael Jackson in Budapest, little bit, Jordan, stayed at his place several times. But the opportunity to meet more people, started getting, being on different shows, Regis and Kathy Lee, just a lot of different opportunities like that. But even with saying that, I still didn't do as much as I could have because I wanted to finish off my career. I always looked at track and field as a means to end. I knew to make the millions of dollars and all of that, like in the other sports, that wasn't going to happen for me. It just wasn't like that. But if I took care of my business, I can transition to after track and field and be okay because I've met several people. I have different opportunities, and if I just keep clean and finish this off right, win some more championships, stuff like that, I'll be fine later on in life. And so that was my plan.
Right.
So with something I always wondered, do Olympic athletes get paid for going to the Olympics? And I know you say sponsorships, but it's like the United States, like, is there any compensation for you guys when you go to the Olympics?
I think they paid the top three. Let's just focus on the high jump. It's only 3 people can be on the high jump team that they'll take. And I think for winning the Olympic trials, I probably received $7 to 10 grand. And then for winning at the Olympics, I think I received another 10 grand, 10 or 15 grand.
So is it still like that today, or is it just like that?
It's still like that today. It
really?
Hasn't changed very much, you know.
So really, you have to capitalize by getting other stuff outside of that because you won, right?
Yes.
So,
well, unless you're a sprinter, you know, the top sprinters can still make a killing. You know, like I say, the Usain Bolts and all of that, like I say, they can command for that 9-second race or that 19-second race, they can get $200,000-$300,000.
Right. And
then let's say you're the 8th fastest in the world. You still can command 50, 40, 30, right, because they need somebody to compete against. So track high jump is not like that. You don't have that kind of money in that event. Like I say, sprints, distance runners who were making all the money. So, you know, high jump, it can be tough, man. But like I say, with me, I never really, I understood how the business worked. I understood what I can get from the event. And so I never tripped out on the money part of it. It was more looking at my future, setting myself up for my future.
Yeah. That's important because a lot of people go into these sports and they see other people getting certain things and they're like, man, I should be getting that. But I was telling somebody the other day, maximize your situation.
Right. You have to.
Like for me, you know, being a sports agent, you know, guys talk about going to Europe. For me, I think Europe is a little overrated, right? Mm-hmm. So if you had, and this is just a situation. So I had a guy who played down in Mexico, right? And Mexico wasn't one of my favorite leagues and then like that. But we was able to maximize this situation because his mother was Mexican American, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of getting X amount of dollars, he doubled his money every year that he played there.
Right.
So you probably not gonna get 20 grand a month in Europe, but you can get 18 in Mexico.
Exactly.
US dollar.
Yeah.
You know. So and I always try to tell them that, but you said it right. Like you maximize your situation.
Right.
And that's what more athletes have to do. You can't just go into the situation knowing that this is where your lane is as far as like the pay lane, like this is what people in my field are getting paid, unless you are going to have this killer marketing plan after the fact, right?
Right.
Because that's even then, you're still not going to get as many because those marketing dollars are going to go to the, like you said, the sprinters and everybody like that.
Well, let me just break it down to you. You know, even with me, I had guys in the high jump that I was beating that they were getting paid. They had sponsorships. Their organizations were helping them out. Even here in the U.S., guys that I was beating were signed with Nike, Adidas, stuff like that, and I didn't have that. Right. I didn't have it. And I never worried about it because that was something out of my control. I couldn't control that. All I can control is Charles Austin. And, you know, my name, I kept clean. I handled my business. And it's like, Charles, focus on the thing you can control. You can't, and as far as someone owing you something, no, nobody owe you anything.
Right.
Nobody owes you, nobody said, okay, you come out here and compete. You are owed this or that. that's just a blessing. That's just gravy on the top. And so I never care what the next, I knew what others were getting, and yeah, it bothered me because, like, man, it would bother anyone. Like, damn, why I can't get that? Shit, I keep my name clean. I'm not a pain in the butt or anything. Damn, why they giving this dude that and not me? So you think that, but at the same time, I brought it back down to reality. Hey, man, you get in where you fit in, get what you can get, and it is what it is. You know, you're jumping over a stick for a living.
Right. You're doing something.
You are jumping, dude. You are jumping over a damn stick for a living. A stick. And that's what I like athletes I train. I tell them the same thing. Like, man, you complain about the money you getting, and you catching a football. You throwing a ball in a basket.
Yeah.
You want equal pay or whatever, but hey, man, keep this in reality.
Yeah.
You're not having to, teach kids or save lives and this and that. You're playing. You're playing a game. You're jumping over a damn stick. You're running up and down a track. So don't lose sight of reality now, because what we do, that's just crazy. Somebody to get paid for being a professional athlete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to try to keep it all in perspective, but in track and field, it's not like that.
Yeah.
Not like that at all.
Charles, listen to you talk about and describe the mentality that you have. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you watched The Last Dance, the documentary on Jordan. It kind of reminds me of that mentality that he has. And one of the arguments that I've been hearing in sports is about like the mentality, like the guys of this day that play on the top level don't have the same killer mentality as guys in the, back then in the day at the top level. You think to get on a level to be where you're number one athlete in your sport, do you believe you have to have a killer mentality?
Yeah, man, you got to have that mindset. And back then, it was a lot easier for us to have that mindset because we didn't have the comfortable lifestyle that's available to these athletes in this generation. You understand what I mean? Just think about it. Everything is so much easier nowadays. So much easier. Even dealing with, let's say, the racism, prejudice, all of that is much easier today than it was back then. There's more money involved than it was, back then. So just think about it. Jordan, let's say Michael Jordan. At one point, he was probably 122nd highest paid player in the league.
Yeah.
Getting $2 million a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's nice at that time.
Yeah.
He's real nice at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at today's guys. You got guys who hadn't won a world championship or anything, getting 20, 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can you get there?
Yeah.
That fire, that hunger, you're comfortable. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a lot harder. For someone, you can be good, you can be great, but to go to that higher level, you have to have something inside of you, man, that just, you have to have a level of desire. Like I tell my son, I don't call it a dog. I call it a level of desire that almost drives your ass crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what you understand what I'm saying? It just does something to you.
Mm-hmm.
It man, the shit just penetrates you. I don't know if, if it's from growing up, not having, with me still to this day, I can't really describe it, what that drive was, but I do know it even to this day, it messes with your head. You almost think you're like damn crazy or something,
Yeah.
It's a damn, like Kobe. Everybody talk about Kobe, Michael Jordan, like psychopath. It's just that something in your head, man. And like with me, I always knew if I push too far, it's gonna take me somewhere. You know what I mean? It just, dude, you better. And so, like I say, when I would compete, winning, that's easy. For me, I didn't. It wasn't about winning because I knew I could do that.
Yeah.
It was like, just think, man. To be able to say you're the best on the damn planet.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? And to get there, you can't just be happy and satisfied with just winning. You can't just be happy with oh, I did this, I was better than you. Shit, with me, it was like, I wanted to feel that. I wanted to feel that shit. And when I say it, man, I was the best anybody on the damn planet that was set foot on this planet. I was better, and that's what it's to get there. It's something there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And these guys today, it's hard for them to do that, in my opinion, because they have everything. Yeah. They're so comfortable. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Because they're getting paid on potential.
Yeah, they're getting paid off potential.
A lot of guys are getting paid on potential. I mean,
and they have everything. They you look at it. Everything is laid out for them. There's, what's the struggle? Where's the struggle?
Yeah.
It's kind of like how my son, he loves basketball, but he also loves PlayStation. And all his friends are on PlayStation. So we were growing up. I mean, we might have had a Nintendo or something like that, but you was mainly outside playing.
Yeah, playing.
You have a lot.
Yeah.
They have so much at their disposal. They can sit in their room and talk to all the 30 people headset while playing PlayStation. So it's easier for them, and it's a lot difficult for them to shut that off and then go outside.
Yeah.
On, playing sports.
And today people want that immediate gratification, and they like people telling them how good they are and how great they are. And shit, I could care less. Leave me the hell alone. Let me do what I can do. Get the hell away from me. The less you talk to me, the better off I'm gonna be.
Right.
Hey, Charles, so that mindset that you have, how did that correlate with having children and then having your children play sports? Like, how did that affect you, and did you take that over, and did it make you add more pressure to them?
No, not at all. What I tell my kids, man, because I know they're not like me. They didn't grow up like me. They don't have that craziness going on in their head to take them to that level. Yes, they're much bigger. I'm only 6 feet a half inch. My oldest son is 6'3" and a quarter. My middle son is 6'7", and my 16-year-old is 6'4".
Already?
Yes, already. Dumb. Stupid athletic. All of them. Comparing age for age, all of them were so farther ahead than I was from athleticism. But what they don't have is the mindset. They don't have that hunger because, they've been blessed, or I've been blessed to be able to give them a life that, they didn't have to go through the things that I did. So, like I say, they're comfortable. They can't get there. They can't challenge. They don't have that struggle behind them. So once they started competing, I told them, look at here. If you ask me to help you, this is what I will expect. You got to understand your dad, I see what you're capable of doing. I see you have more than I have. So I'm going to push you to beat me. And not only beat me, but like, Dad, shit, you were okay. Yeah. So understand where I'm going if you ask for my help. Now, if you just want to just have fun with this, we can have fun. But don't tell me you really want this and then not willing to put down 100%.
Yeah.
So that's how I've always dealt with my kids. You do your thing. I don't expect you to do this. The only thing I expect from you guys is to pay your way through college. Because I'm not paying for your college. You're smart. You're very athletic. You have the looks. So, and there's opportunities out there. Yeah. I expect you to pay for your way to go to college. In the summer, after you graduate from high school, you got to get out of my house. That's all I expect. So I just left it at that. Yeah. And, but like I tell them, I don't, you have to live your life for you.
Absolutely.
You don't try to, I'm never going to put pressure on you to be this or be that. I'm going to tell you what I see. I'm going to tell you what I think possible. And I'm going to give you that information to try to make your journey a lot easier and more pleasurable and help you to tap into your true potential if that's what you want. But you have to decide what you see for yourself and how you want your future to be. And just get to the point in life where you can take care of yourself. You don't have to depend on anyone else. You don't have to depend on me because I'm not going to take care of a grown man.
So in 2012, you was inducted into the United States Track and Field Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hell of an accomplishment. Tell me how that felt. How was that experience for you?
It was cool. I wasn't even going to go to the ceremony.
Why not?
Because I don't think like that. Honestly, my wife made me go.
Yeah, I'm glad she did, man.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm glad she did too, because now she has her Hall of Fame ring. I've never even put it on. But I didn't need that, man. I didn't need that to make me feel this way or that way. It never drove me. I never thought about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that I even cared about, to be honest with you.
Right.
I just, like I say, I just wanted to compete. I wanted to push myself and see what Charles is made of. I didn't do things to have other people recognize me this way or that way. Like I say, I just wanted people to leave me alone and let me do my thing. Like my agent would always tell me, Charles, you have this opportunity. You have this opportunity. You need to start taking these opportunities up. And it's like, man, I hear you, but my mind is dialed in here right now. You know, I can't see all of this other stuff because I'm looking at my future and trying to, get the most out of this to make sure my future is what I want it to be. I can do my thing. I can do my own thing. I don't have to rely on anyone else. And so once I retired, thinking about the Hall of Fame and all that, I didn't care about that, man. And I'm not trying to be, that's true. I can bring my wife in here and she'll tell you, you want me to bring, hey, Natalie, watch this. Natalie. I guess she went outside. But yeah, she made me go. We got into it. She's like, yeah, you're going.
Yeah, I mean, something like that you can't pass up, man. I mean, even though you wasn't shooting for it, you was just competing. You was having fun with it.
But even to this day, man, it's it's not that big a deal to me. I was happy to go because, what made me happy about going to that more than anything, my wife, Natalie, Natalie, we were not together during that time. So we started dating towards the end of my career, 99.
Uh-huh.
So that high point, she kind of missed out on some of it.
Right. So
it was great to take her to hear what people had to say about me.
Yeah.
But the whole time we were there, I'm like standing behind her, trying to use her to shield people. Leave me the hell alone. Yeah, like, hey, put her right there. Y'all talk to her. Shit, she wanted to come here. You know what I mean? So, I think it was in Orlando or Tampa. What I remember most out of that is me and her walking on the beach.
Yeah.
The ceremony and all of that, it's like a foggy, like,
right.
I remember sitting back at the table after I gave my speech and giving her the ring, and she put it on her finger, and I was like, you can keep that.
Yeah.
But I had more fun walking on the beach with her.
Right.
Like I say, I never, I just never, people telling me this or telling me, oh, you're great and all of that. It was cool, but it's not something that I needed to hear.
It just seems like you didn't need validation. Like you knew.
I don't. Yeah. I never have.
Yeah.
Like I say, everything that I was able to accomplish, I needed it to make myself feel good about who I am. I needed to push myself and challenge myself to be the best I can be. Because we all have this crazy shit in our head, and self-esteem, and so all of that, I needed that for me, because dealing with what's in my head and what's in my heart, nobody else could help me with that.
Right.
So I had to look at, when I look in the mirror, I see Charles. And I see that person that I needed to please, to, get that, make him respect who I am.
Right.
Yeah. Like I say, it's kind of, it's a mental thing. I don't know.
Yeah. So I know I understand what you're saying. So you invented a total body board.
Yeah.
Can you just walk us through What was the inspiration behind the total body board?
Well, I don't know if it was inspiration. January 28th of 2012, I was sleeping, 2 a.m. in the morning. It woke me up. I had this dream that I was on this piece of equipment. And I woke up and it's like, what the hell is that? I don't have that in my gym. So I tried to go back to sleep. As soon as I would fall back asleep, I'm back on this thing working out. Like, okay, now, what's going on? I grabbed my iPhone, typed everything that I was dreaming about in my iPhone, threw my iPhone on my nightstand, out cold. Next morning, have my first client at 8 o'clock, get in my car, go to Lowe's, buy some stuff. Come back, have another client, go to Lowe's, buy some more stuff. By 3 o'clock, I had my first prototype built. And when I picked Alex up from school, I was like, yeah, rushing back to the gym because he was pretty much, I was the first one to get on and then him. I was like, rushing him. I think he was a sophomore or something like that. And I was like, do this, do that, do that. And so right then and there, it was like, man, there might be something to this. So I used that for probably about 6 to 9 months, just playing with it. Then I had another prototype built, wood model, used that for 2.5, 3 years. And that's when I knew. I was like, okay, we got something here. And so that's when I just went all in and told my wife, she's very supportive. She's very, very supportive. And, if I get a wild hair, she, basically stands there with me and, gives me that support. And so she was like, well, you have to find a designer, to get your thoughts together and put it on paper so you can take the blueprint, create the blueprint.
Right.
And so one day, she was at work and she called me. She's like, hey, call this number and talk to this person. And maybe they can help you get it out of your head. And I'm like, who is this? And she's like, oh, it's just a number I found on the internet. So I was like, okay. So I called the number and spoke to the guy. And he was in Utah. In Utah. And I told him what I was thinking and what was going on in my head. And he sent me one drawing. And I was like, oh, you're very close. Change this. He sent me another drawing. It's like, okay, change this little thing here. Nailed it. Yeah. Exactly what I saw in my dream. And so at that point, it was like, man, let me just run with this and see what happens. And that's how I came up with it. My first customer were the Cleveland Cavaliers. They used it that year that they won the NBA championship. They bought 2. They even traveled. Derek Millender, their strength and conditioning coach, he traveled with it. All of their away games, he traveled with one. Had it on the court during the games for their warm-up and all of that. Even had it on the court at the NBA championship. I got a video. I was there in Golden State.
Right.
And the funny thing, I told him, and I don't know why, but I told him that y'all gonna win the NBA championship this year. And he's like, he always tells me, you think so? I was like, I think so. I really feel that. And so it was funny. What did they go down? 3-1 or something like that?
Yeah.
And I was in my, I didn't go to that game. I had came back from San Fran. And I was watching the game, and they won 3-2. And he called me that night. I was like, yeah, y'all going to win. Y'all going to win the NBA championship. And he's like, Charles, you're crazy. I was like, no, you're going to win. Watch. Won the next game. And he called me. He was like, dude, I was like, it's a wrap, man. Y'all got it. And, long story short, they won, but they were my first customers ever. So it was cool, man.
So
that's a hell of a first customer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Can you kind of explain to the people what the total body board what it does? 'Cause you can do a lot of things. I know it's right here on your shirt, and it's a bunch of bands and
Yeah, man.
board.
It's a piece of equipment that just allows you to do everything. Is basically my go-to piece of equipment in my gym. You know my gym. I have a little of everything. You name it, I have it. And any machine or free weight movement you can replicate. It's a resistance band based unit. Everything is about resistance bands, and because that's what helped me to get my career back, using resistance bands, my rehab and all of that. So I spent a lot of time using resistance bands. But it has a slide board feature that you can put on, and most slide boards are just your basic slide board. You just slide back and forth. With mine, you can use resistance, and you can continue to build strength in that movement, lateral movement. You can, instead of getting out on the hard surface and doing plyometrics, you can now use the board and use this resistance, which now it takes a lot of stress off the body when you're doing explosive movements, but you build strength faster. You can develop speed, you can develop strength, you can use it to lose weight. The youngest kid I've ever had on it is 5 years old. My oldest client, she's 87. She don't like lifting weights. Weight scares her, but using the total body board, using those resistance bands, she can still get that work in. And with the total body board, everything is core driven. To perform any movement, you have to keep your core engaged, or the bands are gonna just pull you around.
Right.
So it basically it's like having a full gym in this one piece of equipment. Cardio, strength training, rehab. We have several rehab facilities using it. So you can do a lot of different things on it.
Sounds like I've actually seen it in person. I don't know what it looks like now, but I've saw it in the early stages. And you can absolutely do just about anything on that board that you need to get done in the gym and work every single body part. So that's a tremendous piece of equipment for sure. Now you opened up your own facility, Soha Sports and Fitness. Is it just for the love of just the whole fitness thing, or was it something that you always inspired to do as you were competing and stuff like that?
Well, that's another thing that just happened.
Yeah.
I never saw myself being a coach or trainer or anything like that. And how I got into the performance training business, sports performance training business, I went to a Utah versus Spurs game here in Texas with a good friend of mine who was a childhood friend of John Stark's. And after the game, and I wasn't even going to go to the game, the funny thing, he just kept bugging the hell out of me. So at the last minute, I was like, come on, man, let's go. And so we went up. And after the game, he was like, we're going to go back and hang out with John, back, in the locker room. And I was like, okay, man, whatever. So we go, and I let him go over to John, and people stopped me. They saw me at the game, and they're talking and all of that. And so finally he brings John over there, and John's just looking at me. And Russ was like, hey, John, this is Charles. Charles, this is John. Shook hand, and he's just looking at me. He's like, man, I know you. And I was like, I guess, I don't know. He's like, no, I know your face. I've seen you before. I was like, I guess, bro, He's like, what's your last name? And I told him Austin. He sat there. It's like, you're the high jumper. And I started laughing. I was like, yeah. Man, give me your number. Give me your number. And I gave him my number, and I'm looking at him like, okay, well, I starts with my number, And he's like, I'm going to call you. I'm going to call you. It's like, all right, hit me up. And so that end of May, June, he called me.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, hey, man, I want you to train me. I was like, train you? He's like, yeah, this is, in 99 or 2001, whatever it was, 99 or 2001 probably, 2001. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And so that year, I had the World Championships later that summer. And I talked to my wife, and I was like, hey, Starks want me to come up to Oklahoma back and forth. He's going to fly me back and forth to train him. What do you think? And she's like, well, you have the World Championships later on this summer. It's going to interfere with your training. I was like, babe, I got everything out of track and field I need. I'm just trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do with my life after, trying to figure this out. And she was like, well, go to train John and see what happened. So went up, started training with John, and, just got him in unbelievable shape, unbelievable. Went to camp with him, would fly back and forth throughout the year, training him, and just got great results. So I trained him his last 2 years, and that's when it's like, man, that was fun, being able to help somebody, improve their body, be able to help them physically change their bodies and all of that. And so in 2002, I was at SMAC working out, and the owner, Bobby Warren, the space next to him came available, and he was like, Charles, you should rent that place. You should rent this next door. And I'm looking at him like, what the hell am I going to do in there? Rent it for what? Yeah. And it used to be a beauty salon.
Yeah.
And he just stayed on me, every time I would go in, Charles, you need to rent that place. I was like, shit, what am I going to do? A barbershop? What the hell am I going to do in there? And so I called the owner and, hey, man, let me in there. And so I just went in and stood in there. The floor was pink and black squares, and just it was a salon. It was a salon. And so I'm just sitting in there meditating, looking around. Call my wife, hey, babe, I'm going to open up a fitness studio. She's like, what? You're going to open a what? I like a fitness studio. She's like, you haven't been training anybody. You don't have any clients. I'm like, no, I don't, but that's what I'm going to do. Within 2 weeks, I had it up and running and had clients in. And it just took off from there. I just kept developing and developing. So doing really, really well. And it was 600 square feet.
Yeah.
And, that was 2002. And then 2007, I'm sitting around the studio, just chilling. Decided to go over to the bank just to mess around. And during this time, I think probably like 2005 or so, I told her, man, it would be nice one day to have a performance center. And so I sketched it in my little sketch pad. I like to draw. And so I sketched it out in my sketch pad, how I wanted it to look. And I just threw it in my little stack of everything. And so I'm telling you, just sitting around, didn't have anything to do, went over to the bank and applied for a loan. They gave it to me. Came home. I didn't tell her, but I came home. It's like, hey, I went to the bank and applied for a loan to build a gym. They gave it to me. She's like, shut up. You didn't. Pull out the paper, and she's like, oh my God. She's like, are you crazy? Like, well, I guess maybe a little bit. So that was like early 2007, February, so 2007.
Yeah.
I broke ground in August. By February 2008, I was open. So that's how, that's how I got into personal training, like with John. Then I trained David Robinson his last year. John hooked me up with training Allen Houston. And then while I was training Allen, I spent some time working with Penny.
Uh-huh.
After that, Jonathan Bender, and then all the younger athletes and individuals, in between there.
Right.
And I just started really enjoying, what it really did, it offered me another way to compete,
Yeah.
to challenge myself, because that was driving me crazy because I didn't have that outlet anymore.
Yeah.
So, it was, I have to admit that it was really driving me crazy. And so once I started personal training, it was a way to compete against myself again. It's like, okay, I get this person. What can I do with them? It wasn't about, they will come in and tell me what they want to accomplish. But I always went with what I wanted to accomplish with them, because I knew if I got them to where I wanted them to be, they would be really happy.
Yeah.
So it was a competition. It allows me to compete, against myself again. So that's why I really enjoy it.
And being a former athlete and working with athletes, it's a hard transition from actually being in your field of play to just doing something regular.
Mm-hmm.
Because you always want that type of competition. And that's why you see, a lot of people being competitive in just random things, because they're still
Right.
searching for that
Right.
thing. And, and sometimes it'll take them a while to find it. And once they find it, it may be too late.
Yeah.
But you was blessed to be able to find your passion after the game. And that's what I always tell my guys, like, while you in the game, start thinking about the things you want to do after the game, because those are the ones that are going to take you to that. You can only play this game for a certain amount of time.
Right.
You got another 40, 30, 35, 40 years, whatever, 50 years to live.
Yes, exactly.
And so that, to me, that's very important, that you were able to do that in that time frame. Like you say, you was driving yourself crazy trying to figure it out. So we're gonna shift the gears a little bit. We're gonna talk about The Last Dance. We're gonna talk about, you stayed at MJ's house several times. You also played in a celebrity basketball game with him out in San Marcos, and I think y'all went to Dallas too, right?
New Orleans. It's originally started in my hometown.
Okay.
Jay and my first cousin, Eric Martin, who played with the Saints. They were really good friends. So Eric would have this celebrity basketball game fundraiser, which started in Van Vleck. And then I got him to bring it to San Marcos. And the last one that I did was in New Orleans, So, yeah, it was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, so we always get these debates, these talks, who's the GOAT, who's this, who's that. Jordan and Kobe got a killer mentality, but LeBron don't. And I think earlier you covered that a guy that came from absolutely nothing, which is LeBron, obviously. I actually admire his story a lot. Single parent household, being able to sit down at a table with Reebok and turn down all that money and know that he was going to get something bigger. So when you watch The Last Dance, what's your take from that? What's your take from The Last Dance? Did you get anything out of The Last Dance that you obviously probably already knew? Because, I grew up watching the Bulls. You watched the Bulls. Vic watched the Bulls. But seeing that and seeing, you saw Kobe, you saw LeBron, where are you at with all that?
Well, as far as Mike, like I told you, it's that those inner demons. I don't know if I want to call them demons, but it's something deep inside that just drives you. I don't care. It's not about where you came from. It's just, I describe it as a hunger that you can never damn satisfy, no matter what you do. And Mike's hunger, to me, seeing that, I can relate. I can relate. Seeing Kobe, to me, Kobe had it, but Kobe was, with Mike, it's natural. It's just a natural thing. It's just his wiring, his mentality. He has that flow. It, like you turn on a water faucet, that flow is just a natural flow. You look at a river, it's just a natural flow to it. That just, it is what it is. You look at Kobe. Kobe tried to imitate that. So it wasn't as natural. His movements were not as natural. You could see some roughness to his movement. Great, but there was a little, that natural flow was not there. Close, but it wasn't there. That mentality, Jordan wasn't manufactured. He didn't have to look at someone. Like Kobe said, he studied Jordan. He studied his mannerism. He picked his brain. Jordan, I can't see Jordan picking nobody's brain. He'll watch and just, grind, just sit there and just, and figure it out. LeBron is a new generation, man. Great player. Come from, a difficult background. But with LeBron, I don't see that, and I'm gonna just call it that inner demon. I don't see that inner demon. I don't feel it. I've been around him, and like one thing I like, that celebrity game. It's certain people that I've always wanted to touch, because it's like I can feel, I can gauge, I can really gauge what they're about. And so in that celebrity game, I was supposed to always play on Jordan's team, but I never would, because I just wanted to see. I wanted to feel him. I never was in awe of him, but I knew I knew just watching him play, there was something, a whole different mindset, different. And I just wanted to feel it, see, and I could relate. So I met LeBron, shook his hand, and I didn't feel that. I just didn't feel it. I like I say, great, very skillful, knows the game in and out, studied the game to become great. Mike just had it. Shit. Excuse my language. Fuck the studying. I'm gonna just do it. I'm gonna just take it. You see what I mean? I don't got time. I'm not studying it to be great and be the best. I'm trying to just, you know what I mean?
But do you think that's because Mike came in a different era, right? So when Mike came in, the game was all big men.
I think it's just who Mike is. I don't think it's about the era and who he was playing against. They were in his way.
Yeah.
Well, they were. That's what he saw. You know.
No. When I say that, I mean because you talked about how people studied the game, and how Kobe studied Mike, and Bron studied the game in general. But I'm sure Mike studied the game to a degree, but there wasn't anybody that was doing the things that he was going to be able to do on that perimeter in that time, right?
Right.
So then you fast forward, and you got Kobe, you got LeBron. They're able to study Mike because he was the transition from the game being played in the post, basically, to the game being played at the mid range, to the game being played on the perimeter. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I know what you.
So that's kind of what I'm wondering. Like, I mean, I wish I could ask Mike himself. Like, who did he really look at?
Well, like I say, I looked at all of them. Like he say, Dr. J. I'm sure he looked at everyone. It was more of a gauge, to him. It was just like I say with Soto and Hollis. He was just gauging them,
Right.
and like, okay, yeah, I see what you got. And I know I got that and some more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like LeBron, I just look at LeBron. If LeBron could be just something. If he had that real inner demon in it, it would be a wrap. It would that big with that mindset, and he's a pretty good athlete.
Yeah.
I don't think he's anywhere close for us athletic. LeBron just big.
Yeah.
But when I say athletic, you look at Jordan, the body control, the speed, the flow, the rhythm, the mechanics, the efficiency of his movement. You look at Jordan, everybody, how he walks, how Kobe tried to imitate his walk.
Yeah.
Because it's efficient. His feet doesn't turn out. You look at LeBron's feet are all out here.
Yeah.
Jordan, his movements. You look at, and they call him Black Cat, right? You look at a cat. You look at a cat. Like I'm a movement freak. A cat, their movements are just nice and efficient. You look at Mike from an athletic standpoint, and especially being 6'6" and still being able to be that tight, having the tightness of someone 6'1", 6'2", in the body control of someone who it's unbelievable. And then he has that mindset and that inner, like I say, demon or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Ron, to me, he just, like I say, it just, he learned the game, he studied the game. Yes, he's great, but it's to me, it's more creative. Kobe, same thing, very close, but Kobe had some going on too. And I wish, it would have been great to see if he wouldn't have tried to copy Mike to such an extreme.
Right.
Add a little bit more, like with me. I looked at Javier, Hollis, and all of them, and I took from all of them. But I took from them those little things to add to what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to be like them, give me that. That can make me pushing me a little bit farther ahead. You know what I mean? All of them great, but I just, in my opinion, you know, with the different style of play, the different level of athletes, you know, athletes back then, they were, you know, big and just brutes, and the game also was played at a level where it was more strategic. You had to, it was a thinking man game. You had to think your way. Not only think your way, you had to be physical. You know, you had to think your way around the game because there was so much involved. You know what I mean? And all those guys knew how to play the game, and it more like a chess match. You know, all of them. You know, to be on that court, you had to have that you had to be pretty sharp. You know, when you're playing the game, how to set people up to do this, because all of them did it. This day and age, I think it's more like AAU, in which makes LeBron got the mindset of thinking the game like they did back in the day.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? But most of the players don't think like that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they just get out there, want to put on a show and do all their, you know, it's more like AAU. You know, they all grew up in the AAU age.
Yeah.
But LeBron is thinking like, you know, Popovich would have loved LeBron.
Yeah.
Phil Jackson would have loved LeBron. They would have made that dude something sick, especially playing back then, because that's how he plays the game. He thinks the game through. You know, I need to set you up to do what I want you to do.
Yeah.
It's not just trying to do all this show stuff and that nonsense. You know what I mean? Y'all understand what I'm trying to say?
Oh, no, absolutely.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I agree. I think that the game back in the day, the players were more fundamentally sound.
Exactly.
Like when you talk about the tightness and the footwork and stuff like that. One example I always use, and he's kind of like in the middle of the two eras, is Paul Pierce. He don't look like much.
Mm-hmm.
You see, he's about 6'7". He ain't got no muscle definition, but his footwork is impeccable.
Dude.
I don't think there's not, his footwork is tight.
Yeah, Paul Pierce. No. But I saw that with Paul Pierce coming out of high school.
Yeah.
I used to watch him. I remember watching him at the McDonald's All-American game.
I saw him there too.
He was kind of thick, and at first, when I first saw him, I was like, man, who the hell is this dude? Yeah. And then I started watching him, and like, okay. Then I watched him in college. I was like, man, this dude.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy because, you know, I've seen him in person. It's like a regular person, like a regular tall person, you know, and you see him on the court, he getting buckets at will.
Yeah, but he knows he uses his head. He knows how he plays the angles. He knows, you know, how to set his defender up to get what he wants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's patient. He has the patience.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of guys just want to go and go. You know, he takes his time.
And you know the other thing about today's game is I feel like as an overall, the guys in today's game are more athletic overall than they were back then.
Yes, I agree.
You know, you got our 7-footers in this game. They got crossovers, pulling people back, hesitation moves, three ball, you know, whatever. They 7-footers doing it all, you know. Yep. And back then you didn't have that. Elijah one was the closest one to that when he came in. I don't even think he was really 7 foot.
Yeah, 6'10".
Yeah, so he had the dream shape.
Yeah.
You know? And it's hard to compare.
Game.
Huh?
It's a different game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
You look at these guys back then. Those guys were big and they were stationary. They, you know, They just bulked up. But you look at now, man, these guys are lean. They're up and down the court. They're running. You know, they're using their athleticism. They're jumping high. And you know, wait for a few more years. I don't know if you guys pay attention to the high school kids that are coming out.
Yeah, I've been paying more
The
attention.
things that they're doing now is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Ridiculous. You know, there's going to be several KDs.
Yeah.
You know, the 6'6" guy, man, it's just, and that's where it's going to, you know. Yeah. Like I say, I call it the AAU generation.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, Charles, speaking of like AAU and you training youth athletes, like you said, you didn't start running track until your senior year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a firm believer in allowing kids to play all sports. And then when you get in high school, I guess you can decide like if you want to specialize in a sport. But I still feel like playing all around sports is the best thing to do.
It's the best thing you can do.
At what age or grade do you believe a kid in high school, or age or grade or whatever, that they should start focusing on playing on the next level? Like if they have the desire to play on a college level, at what grade or age do you think a kid really needs to lock in?
Honestly, man, I feel each kid is different, and I feel that that kid will make that determination. Mm-hmm. That will naturally occur. You know, I don't feel like, okay, you're a junior now. You need to not play all these other sports and just focus in and do this here. My thing is, they're kids. Let them have fun. Let the natural process take its course. They're gonna decide. They're gonna gravitate to football or basketball or whatever. But you know, but if they still have that desire to run track, hey man, get out there and run track, because that's a whole different muscle memory. That can translate to no matter what you do. You know what I mean? And I don't like seeing that type of pressure put on kids. I'm not going to put that type of pressure on kids. Like a lot of the parents that I work with their kids, they try to get me to tell him to, you know, he needs to just focus on this. And it's like, no, I'm not telling them anything.
Right.
I'm going to let them tell me what they want to do. And if they ask me my thoughts, I will tell them, you know, this is my opinion. But at the end of the day, when you look in the mirror, you're going to have to deal with that person the rest of your life.
Right.
So I'm your support system, you know. So you tell me what you want to do. If you want to do basketball, during basketball season, we focus on basketball. If you want to come and high jump or run the 100, whatever, that's what we'll focus on. But you are a kid right now. Have fun with this. Because you can have the rest of your life to stress yourself out.
Yeah.
You have the rest of your life to stress, trust me. So let's have fun. Let's enjoy this process and let it just naturally occur. You're gonna gravitate to what it is you want to do. Trust me. You know, so let's just have fun with this. We still got to put in the work. We can't just come in playing. You know, when you're in here training, or when you're out training or playing whatever sport you're doing, you have to give it 100% now. Don't just take it for granted, because it can easily be taken away from you with injury or whatever.
Yeah.
So when you do that, whatever it is you're doing, give it your undivided attention. After it's over with, go and do whatever else you want to do. But whatever it is you're doing, you know, I don't care if it's studying, whatever, playing basketball, baseball, football, but for that short time period you're doing, lock in and try to be the best you can be at it. And you will figure out which one is, for you, which one will make you happy. And once you decide that, it's easy after that. But during that process, you're training your mind to give your all. And so once you narrow it to that one thing, you built that mindset and that level of being able to be disciplined. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's how I approach the kids that I train, and my kids, period.
Yeah. Charles, one last thing I got to ask you. If I were to get in your car and you turn on the radio, what you going to be listening to right now?
Man, I got this one CD. I don't know his name, but it's this up and coming rapper from North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna have to get his name. Oh, Cole. He's nice, man. He's real nice. He's the things that he's rapping about, like this one song is called Black in America.
Uh-huh.
And he's just talking about, the challenges of being Black in America, how, basically, hey, man, I just want to be accepted like you, But I've been listening to him all week. It's nice. I'm going to have to get the name of, I forget I got had my boy get it for me about a week or two ago. And I like him a lot. I have Scarface is old. His last CD he put out, Scarface.
What's the name of that CD? I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I have his. I keep his in there, all the time. Who else do I listen to?
Deeply Rooted.
Deeply Rooted, yeah.
Scarface last album.
And that's a deep CD.
It really is. It really is.
Deep. My wife don't like me listening to it. So, yeah, you listen to that, she don't like me listening to it. So I only listen to it when I'm in the car by myself.
Yeah. That's
deeply rooted.
Definitely want to check and see what music you listen to. Charles, so how can the people get a hold of you? How can they buy your equipment and stuff like that?
Hey, they can go for my total body board. They can go to totalbodyboard.com. If they're looking to get some training, they can go to sohighsports.com, or they can just give me a call at my office for the Total Body Board, 512-667-6277. For the So High Sports and Fitness Performance Center, 512-392-2330.
Good deal. I'm going to bring my. I stay in Cobb. I stay in San Marcos. So.
Oh, straight
down there.
Yeah, you got to come too, man. You got to come too. Yeah, my boy John been in there. He come in there harassing. When he was here. He talk a lot of noise, but he's a good.
Man.
Hey Charles, you got a street named after you, correct?
Yeah, man. They named a street after me, but they won't let me make no money off of it. I told them put a toll booth up there. Give me 5 cents for every car. I'll share it with them.
Hey, before we get out of here, one thing I didn't mention in the beginning is you also wrote a book.
Yes.
Can you share the title of that book with us?
The title of the book is Head Games: Life's Greatest Challenge. And I think you can,
pretty self-explanatory.
I think you could take it from there.
Yeah, that's I wrote it down, but I guess I forgot to mention it. But just to touch on that a little bit, man, you're a very, very accomplished person. Seems like you got the formula to get from point A to point B, and then also just when you talked about dealing with the kids, that's a lot of good advice for parents, because I see a lot of parents out here pushing their kids to do things that they don't even really want to do.
Yeah.
And me with me about to be a father, coming in August, I'm having a boy. So I'm already thinking about, like, I got to find the balance of what I did when I played versus what he's going to want to do. And I just want to let him find his own way, you know?
Exactly. And you know, it may not be sports. He may want to be a doctor. He might want to be a heart surgeon. He may want to build the next video game. You know, and my thing, everybody has, we've all been blessed with gifts. We just have to, you know, be awake and let those gifts surface. And once they do, we grab hold to them and run with them. And for kids, man, you have to, they're their own person. They're none of us are wired the same, you know, so you got to give them room to grow and experience life, because at the end of the day, like I say, when they look in that mirror, they have to be happy with who they are. But at the same time, they need to be pushed. They need to, you know, learn discipline. Those are things, you know, we as parents have to help them with. You know, we have to give them a little leeway, but at the same time, we have to keep that you know, grab hold of them and like, hey, all right now, you know, all right. But I'm gonna let you do your thing, but keep it all in perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
When you're under my roof, there's certain ways you have to do things.
Right.
But once you're on your own, hey, I can't say anything. You taking care of yourself, do you?
Yeah.
But like I say, you know, right now, well, I'm taking care of you. You're in my house. Yo, dude.
I've heard that before.
Exactly.
So, but no, you got to let them, man. You got to give them a little room to grow, and just have fun and let their minds mature. Like I say, get back to the head. Let them figure out their head games, and because, you know, with all of us, that's the hardest part in life. You know, this thing here. You know, and keeping this focused and channeled in the right direction, and you know, and so that's what we all need, especially kids, because they're like putty right now. You know, every year they changing. Every year they experiencing different emotions, and you know, they're easily influenced. So yeah, you got to let them, you know, create their beauty.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts anyway.
Yeah.
Well, Charles, man, we appreciate you coming on, man. And you got any last words for the people?
Hey, you know, like I say, man, it's a crazy time out here. Everybody just be safe, be smart with what you're doing out there. And, you know, other than that, understand as long as you are alive, you have an opportunity to do better. You have an opportunity to, you know, live the life that can be rewarding and satisfying to you. But you have to be willing to do the things and put yourself in position to make that happen. It's not just going to be given to you. You got to go out and make it happen. And, you know, and just, you know, everybody, just try to be more positive with one another. You know, we're all in this together. We all are occupying this planet together. So, you know, we need to do the best for each other, and you know, to help develop these younger kids to keep pushing things forward.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, Charles, man. You guys, we're out.
Enjoyed it.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Charles.
All right, bro.